One day in 1877, someone suggested to Don Bosco that he might be interested in an old abandoned monastery for sale at Nizza Monferrato, some 35 miles from Turin. What is the name of the monastery, Don Bosco asked. In town, the people refer to it simply as La Madonna, was the reply. La Madonna, Don Bosco exclaimed. Then maybe Our Lady wants us to have it. It turned out to be a giveaway, an extensive property, 3 large buildings with beautiful cloisters, a solidly built Romanesque church, and all the owner was asking for was 25,000 lire, which is less than $10,000 in the value of those days. True, the place was a disaster. Napoleon had housed his troops and horses there for years, turning the church into a stable. Later, the place became a wine cooperative, and this time the church was used as a perfect cellar to distill brandy. For years, people with a good nose still smelled high spirits all over the place, not like incense, but pleasant anyway. When Don Bosco first saw the place and stepped into the church, he exclaimed, "Misericordia, my God, this is a disaster." He then spotted a faded painting of Our Lady on the wall where the altar had been. "There she is," he said. "She's been waiting for us all these years." You should be enchanted to see the place now. For some 50 years, it was the mother house of the Salesian Sisters, with every conceivable activity attached to it. Now it is a school and summer camp for youngsters of low-income families, and too a retreat house much like this. But let's get back to Don Bosco. When in 1887 the French government enacted a law to banish all religious orders from the country, most religious congregations, in a panic, began to dismantle their institutions. "Don't move." Don Rouen telegraphed the Salesian provincial in Marseilles. Don Rouen did so at Don Bosco's direct orders. The fact is that, surprisingly, shortly afterwards the law was suspended with regard to the Salesians and to some few other congregations. "How did you know it?" someone asked Don Bosco. "Well," he replied, "I turned to Our Lady. This time I said to her, 'We really need you.' Suddenly it seemed to me that I saw her standing over the provincial house in Marseilles. She spread her mantle over it and said, 'Ego diligentes me diligo.' I love and protect those who love me." What strikes us about these and similar episodes in the life of Don Bosco is the prevailing sense of Our Lady's presence in his life, in his personal life. She was to him a living reality. It is quite possible that we Salesians have not perceived this too well. We are likely to judge Don Bosco's devotion to Our Lady somewhat superficially. It is time we change this view. Time, too, to deepen our knowledge of this devotion. Again, we are likely to think of Mary as if she were just another saint, not an integral part of the mystery of the redemption, as if she were detached from the reality of Christ's life and mission. But we should know that in virtue of her assumption, Our Lady alone among the elect before the final resurrection shares fully with Christ in the paschal mystery. Like Jesus himself, she is a living reality in the kingdom, present and operating in the church, his mystical body, on which he bestows the same loving care she bestowed on the physical person of Jesus. Don Bosco instinctively felt the presence of Our Lady in his personal life and in the life of the religious family he created. We need only recall the prayer to the Blessed Mother when on the day of Mama Margaret's death he knelt at the shrine of the Consolata Church in Turin. My youngsters and I have lost our mother, he prayed. Dear Madonna, do take her place. Be our mother from now on. Lest anyone think I am propounding some new sort of Marian doctrine when I speak of Mary's living and operating presence in the church, let me quote Vatican Council II. Here is the statement which provides the foundation on which our devotion to the Mother of God must rest. Mary's spiritual motherhood, which began with the fiat at the Annunciation, and which without hesitation she renewed at the foot of the cross, continues to be an enduring reality till the final crowning of all the elect. Assumed into heaven, she in no way has ceased her saving mission. With motherly love, she cares for her sons' brothers, still pilgrims on earth, until they are safely home in heaven. This, the central point of Vatican II's statement on Our Lady. Now, what I say is that Don Bosco lived the reality of these words long before the council pronounced them. Like John the Evangelist at the foot of the cross, he too took Mary into his house, literally. We are expected to do the same if we want to call ourselves Salesians. We may not be doing so, at least not in the way we ought to. In his masterful circular letter on Our Lady of March 25, 1978, our revered Rector Major did ask some disturbing questions. Here they are. How do we personally relate to the Blessed Mother? What part does she play in our apostolate? And the Superior continues, am I exaggerating if I say that devotion to Our Lady is at its lowest ebb among us? Is it not time that we take her back into our family? We wonder that our Superior should feel the need to confront us with these questions. What has happened to our devotion to Mary? Some tend to blame the Vatican Council, but no council ever spoke more clearly and with greater emphasis of Mary's preeminent position in the scheme of the redemption, in the life of the Church and of each individual Christian. Incidentally, actual aberrations and senseless ragging were committed by our latter-day iconoclasts in so many of our churches, and too in some of our Salesian churches and chapels. Here is a true story. It happened in Westchester County. In a church, a Catholic church, the pastor was in the process of removing a marble statue from the sanctuary while placing the sanctuary in the conditions into which the new liturgy had brought us. The Episcopalian minister, his friend, happened to come by. They were very close to each other. In the name of God, he said, when he saw the man moving the statue away from the church, in the name of God, John, what are you doing? And the pastor, the priest, said, well, I am remodeling the sanctuary in line with the council's directives, and this statue does not belong there anymore. Frankly, I don't know where to place it. I'll take it, the Episcopalian reverend said. I'll take it if you give it to me. I have just the right place for it in my church. Well, in all honesty, all that glistened was not gold in the church and even among the Salesians with regard to certain aspects of our devotion to Mary. Too often, Our Lady became an excuse for triumphalistic practices that did boost our ego but left a wasteland in the soul. I remember how a good Salesian came from Mexico during my novitiate and was invited by Don Binelli and of his master to give us a conference on the Blessed Mother. It was the 24th of the month. He spoke to us, the good priest did. He spoke to us for some 45 minutes, describing in detail how he had been able to collect from the poor campesinos near Puebla something like 10,000 pesetas for a crown of gold that went to adorn the statue of Our Lady Help of Christians. We are grateful such things are no more. One of the first things the new Cardinal Archbishop of Turin did was remove the several pounds of solid gold trinkets from the famed Consolata icon in her Turin Basilica and turn them into money for a new clinic in Zaire, Africa. We never saw our Madonna with a more beautiful smile, said the Cardinal to the applauding congregation when at a special liturgy the gold was brought to the altar. Now we know that Don Bosco's love for Our Lady went deeper than externals, even though in his day the style in the church did call for them. Were he alive today, he would welcome the pronouncement of the Vatican Council on Mary and accept unreservedly, joyfully, Pope Paul VI's Constitution Marialis Cultus. We should all read that document. It recounts Our Lady's unique privileges, but with an extraordinary stress on her humility, her poverty, her human qualities, most of all her readiness, anxiety to be completely at God's disposal and to at the service of her children, Christ's own brothers. This is the Madonna we must open our hearts to and open to the doors of our houses. This is the Madonna who must be present in our life, just as she was in the life of Jesus from Bethlehem to Calvary. In the life, too, of St. John Bosco, She was really present from the very first day when she saw her as a youngster in a dream, to that cold January morning when he quietly breathed his soul to God as the bells of Our Lady's Basilica were ringing out the Angelus. And now we go back to La Madonna at Nizza, Monferrato. On his last visit there in 1887, Don Bosco was a near physical wreck. He could hardly walk or speak. To the community he spoke only a few words in a whisper. He said, "I am not worried about the future of this house, of this work here. Do you know why? Our Lady is here, right in your midst." He was very moved. And at that point, Don Bonetti, who was with him, interjected. "What Don Bosco means," he said, "is that Our Lady's protection is visible in this house." "No, no," Don Bosco said, raising its voice. "The Madonna is here in person. She actually walks about this place. And let me say it again. As long as you keep her here, you need not have any worry about your future or the future of your work." Would to God this were true of every community in our province. I am beginning to think that this is positively true of this community here at Haverstraw. This is truly the house of Our Lady. And the unbelievable success that this center of spirituality seems to achieve more and more, particularly through retreats, this can only be explained by the living presence of Our Lady here. We need Our Lady more than ever before. We all remember the anguished questions our revered Don Vigano asked in that very letter in which he speaks of Our Lady. We were 22,000 Salesians and more. We are now little more than 16,000. Why? Why so many defections? Why so few vocations? Why so many disturbed confreres, disturbed in their psyche and in their faith? Don Vigano does suggest valid answers and equally valid remedies to these questions, but actually concludes that here is where we need our Blessed Mother, and need her as urgently as Don Bosco did when he first began his work in Baldacco. I was not astounded that our own visitator, Father Williams, should actually pinpoint two reasons that might, if implemented, these things, might bring about a resurgence of vocations. First, the renewal of our own religious, spiritual life. Second, devotion to the Blessed Virgin Mary. I venture to say that were our founder here with us today at the end of this retreat, he would say to us, "Ecce mater tua," there is your mother. Take her to your heart. Take her home with you. Share with her your personal problems and the problems that beset your work. Let her take over. Let her help you. She knows exactly what to do. As at Cana of Galilee, as in the sacristy of a Turin church on a cold December 8, 1941. Remember, Don Bosco says to each and every one of us, she is your mother. When Father Provincial asked me to preach these retreats, I said to him, The older confreres know about our Salesian things. And I feel very much that when the young confreres will see my hair, they'll probably switch me off right away. How terribly mistaken I was. You are a marvelously receptive audience in spite of my raspy voice and rusty English. If anything, and I say it with joy, the younger confreres even more so, and it did me so much good. Clearly, you are tuned to Salesianity, and for this we can all be grateful. As for me, to know you are pleased that this was a Salesian victory is both a joy and a reward. Just that, a little prayer for me. And like we say in Julie,